Good morning, good morning. This is Sveta from Home Staging Step by Step. And for those of you who don't know me, I am the administrator, the owner of this group. I'm also a professional home stager since 2006, and I am based in Montreal, Canada. And I've been doing this for a long time, and now I'm running my business partly online, partly I still do some occasional stagings, but I really like supporting and helping people everywhere in the world because the principles are pretty much the same and it works the same way. So I'm saying good morning to you. I can see that there are some people coming on, and if you could please identify yourself, and type something in the chat, let me know you're here, say hello, give me your name, or go above the video and you can select the StreamYard to give your StreamYard the profile, your Facebook profile, and then for all the consecutive times, I'll actually be seeing your name, so you won't have to type your name in every time you want to ask me a question. So your questions are welcome. And every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time, I do a little training. I usually keep it about 15-20 minutes. And I try to give you some useful tips and information. If you have any specific topics that you would like, you're welcome to submit them as well, because I really want to respond to what's bothering you and what you feel you need and things that you're unsure about. And a lot of times my topics are actually inspired by you guys. Most of the times they're inspired by you guys or my clients. Hello, Candice, nice to see you. So a lot of topics are inspired by my clients. So whether it's you guys online or some clients that I still have in real life in Montreal. And I realized that a lot of times it's the same things that come back and people ask the same questions. And Rachel is here too. My goodness, Rachel, this is very early for you. So I really appreciate your presence. And as I said, you can ask me questions as we go along and I'll try to answer. And oh my God, and Debbie is here. So my crew, my loyal crew is here. Thank you guys so much. So why did I choose the topic for today, which is, okay, maybe you know that you are planning to sell, but you're not really sure that you'll be selling right away. So everybody's situations are crazy different. And oh yeah, that's true, the time change. Yeah, so now we have 2-hour difference or something, I don't know. It's 10 a.m. here, but it's true, it's the new time. So I realize that everybody's situation is different, and some people have some life decisions to take very quickly. It could be sometimes, job relocation. It could be divorce. It could be sudden death in the family, whatever people's situations are. Some people literally have to put their house on the market within a couple of weeks. And some other ones, and I have a lot of these people, and maybe some of you are these people, and that's why you're on this live. I think Debbie might be one of these people. Is you're going to be selling, you're making plans to change your life or to move somewhere else or do something else, but maybe you're not going to be doing it in the next couple of months, but more, I would say, in a year, maybe 6 months, 9 months, a year, maybe 18 months. And this is what I wanted to really address today, because I get actually a lot of people who ask me and they tell me exactly that. They say, okay, I know I'm going to be selling, I'm planning my retirement, or I'm planning to move for a job, or maybe I'm going to downsize because my kids are going to leave the house in about a year. And so I want to start planning now because I don't want to stress myself out. I have more time now. So I want to do the right things, and I want to spend my money. I want to invest my money in the right places. So I was thinking about it over the weekend. And actually what I realized, and it's mostly exactly the same from what I teach you to do, even if you were to put your house on sale in a month. So it's just that you're going to take away that stress and that overwhelm if you start preparing now, even if you're going to be selling in 6 months or 9 months or a year. And there are certain things that you're going to probably leave to the end because, you know, you still have to live in the house, and living in a staged home, we know it's not always super easy, especially if you have pets, if you have young children. So there are certain things that I'm not going to make you do a lot of time in advance, but there are a lot of things that you can start preparing now. And then when you're actually ready to list your house, you're going to have a lot less things to do, and it's going to go faster. And so if you're in a situation where, I don't know, market is incredibly good, or sometimes you just get an offer, or an agent calls you and says, I have somebody who's interested in your house, you'll already be ready. So let me know what your situations are, and let me know who is in that situation. And who am I talking to? Well, obviously, Rachel, you might be, but we'll find out this week. And I also have another client, Jodine. She's a Canadian also. And she's also kind of hesitating on whether she's going to be putting her house on the market now, or wait maybe a few months and do it more in the spring. Okay. So usually the questions are like, okay, what do I do? Where do I start? How much money am I going to invest? And how do I know that I'm doing the right things so I don't do things that I need to redo in a year from now? So as I said, it's pretty much exactly similar thing. So what you need to do is, I would start at the same place that I taught in my challenge a couple of weeks ago, because I really believe that if you have a plan, and most people, unfortunately, in my experience, don't have a plan. And so they just start doing things arbitrarily because they think that's what they need to do, but they don't even think about their investment or their budget, or, you know, what are the priorities if they cannot afford $10,000 to renovate some things. So question number one that I have for you guys, and I'm actually going to offer something that I think Debbie and Rachel and maybe Candice, you're going to actually like. What is your budget? Have you even given it some thought? Like, do you have any idea of what you could invest into your house improvements before you put it on the market? Have you agreed with your spouse or your significant other on what it is, what it should be? And do you know where that money is going to be going? So please let me know in the comments, because I really would like to know. And my bet is that the majority of you actually doesn't have a clue. Okay, and I'm going to remedy that if you want. I decided that because it's American Thanksgiving coming up, and then Christmas, and the crazy elections tomorrow, there's so many things going on. So I'm not going to be running another challenge right now. I'm going to do it at the end, towards the end of January. But I am going to offer something small, and that's going to be the ultimate budget home staging budget planner workshop. So it's just going to be like an hour workshop with the worksheets that I've developed. And people who are in my academy, like Rachel, you already have the worksheets and the explanatory video. But I'm going to do a little workshop live where I'm going to take you through all of the items that you really need to consider. And within that 1 hour, you'll actually be able to decide for yourself, you know, what are the kind of things that you need to do. And we're going to assign a dollar value to each of those items. And then at the end of the day, you're going to know whether it's too much or it's okay with you. And if it is too much, then we can look at prioritizing certain things so you can feel comfortable with the budget that you're going to be investing for your home staging, but at the same time that it is a realistic number, okay? Because you do have to be realistic. And just to let you know, there is a number floating around internet, and it says that the investment in preparing and staging your home for sale should be somewhere around 1% of the market value. So let's say if you think that your house is going to be selling somewhere for around $350,000, let's say, then in your mind, you should kind of start preparing yourself for, I would say, $3,000 to $4,000 investment. Now, that amount is not set in stone, and it doesn't necessarily work for everyone. And that is why I'm kind of reluctant to even talk about that 1%. But the truth is that in most cases, if your house has been kind of updated and maintained, and it's not a total disaster, because I've seen that, like people who literally don't do anything with their house for 50 years, and then they want to sell it and they want to get a top price for it, but they don't want to invest into preparing and staging it. So there is a little disconnect there. But let's say if you have an average home, then somewhere around 0.5% to 1% is reasonable. And let me just respond to Candice, because Candice says she doesn't have a specific budget in mind, but she wants to keep it small. So roof was just replaced, so that is already quite a big expense there. But that's a very important, actually. It's an infrastructure. So that's something I'm going to be talking about right now. So I am in total agreement that those infrastructure or structural things that need to be taken care of. The outside vinyl, very important, because that's your curb appeal. That's the first impression of your house. And again, painting some interior rooms. So it's all good. So everything you're doing is good there. Now, I just want you to understand that when I talk about staging, there's another misconception, is that to me, staging, it's not just prettying up and putting accessories and the pillows and the plant in the corner. That is the last part of your process. But my view is holistic. It's the whole process. So everything that Candice is doing, to me, you can call it home preparation or staging, like whatever, but I account for that in your plan, in your process, and in your budget. That should be included, those things, okay? So where would I start? So first of all, I am going to do this budget worksheet workshop. The date I picked is November 23rd. So it's going to be in 3 weeks from now. I'm going to do it on a Monday. So instead of this regular, the training, I'm just going to do that workshop. It is going to be a paid event. I'm not going to charge $27 only for it. But people who are in my academy, like Rachel, it is going to be free. It's included. So you don't have to pay for that. And we're going to go through all of the things that you need to think about. But today, I still want to give you kind of a little roadmap and things that you can start thinking about today. So as we did in my challenge, for those of you who were in my challenge, we really worked on your point A. The point A is your current house marketability. It's where you're starting from. It's where you are today. So if you haven't done the house assessment worksheet, which was part of my challenge, I'm willing to give it up for free to whoever asks me for it. I just want to make sure that you guys are going to be serious, and you're going to take literally half an hour to go through it and score yourself on all of the points that are in that worksheet. Now, if a realtor were to send you a home stager, or if you were to hire a home stager yourself, that's basically what she or he would do. They would come, they would walk around your rooms, and then they would tell you, okay, well, here you need to paint, and here you need to change your curtains, your shower curtain, and here you need to do some caulking, and you have too much furniture in this room. So basically, they would give you like a 1 hour walkthrough with giving you tips and advice. And usually that service costs between $100 and $200. So just by doing my worksheet, which I'm willing to give you for free because you're in this group, you're saving that $100 to $200 already, okay? So once you go through worksheet and you score yourself and you're honest and critical and objective about it, then you'll know where you stand. So that's your point A. Now, what would I do next? So there's a couple of things. I think it's very important that you do market research and that you take it seriously. So Obviously, some people are going to be selling with the help of realtors, and some people are going to be selling on their own. So whatever you decide to do, even if you have a realtor, first of all, I have a whole big spiel about how important it is to choose the right realtor for you, not necessarily just rely on somebody you know or somebody who recommends, but that's another topic. So I am a big believer that you should pay a lot of attention to how you choose your realtor and who you're going to be working with, because that person is somebody who is very important and part of your success, part of your team, But if you are going to start shopping for a realtor, and again, it's a free service from a realtors, why don't you call a couple of people? I would say more than one. I would say probably at least two, maybe three. And you ask them and be honest, be upfront with them. You tell them, I'm not putting my house on for sale right now. I am thinking of doing it maybe in a year from now, but I want to start preparing. If you know the area and you know what the same type of houses as mine sell for and what I need to improve on to get my house in tip-top shape, you want them to come over and listen to their opinion. Don't necessarily jump right away and start doing everything they tell you, because I've also seen very bad advice from some realtors. But I would listen to their opinion, and especially if you have a couple of realtors, then you can start comparing and seeing, where the common threads come out. So you can start making a list. Another thing that I would do definitely is I would do your own research. It's whatever the realtors tell you, I think you should still take a little bit of time, and you can look online. Today, all the houses are displayed online. It's very easy. So if you know type of house you have, you can just compare apples with apples. So compare with houses that are similar to yours in your neighborhood, and pay attention to all the features that those houses have that you might not have. And then of course, look at the price. So it depends on whether, what you're willing to settle for. So make a list of all those comparable features. If in your area, there's such a thing as open houses usually they're on Sundays, I would also take the time to go to a few of them for comparable houses and see, again, seeing with your own eyes, do people have hardwood flooring, whether you have, old disgusting carpet from 25 years ago, or maybe they have granite countertops and you have melamine countertops. Do they have, like orange and blue and green rooms, or all of the house has been painted in nice neutral colors, etc. So doing your own competitive research is super, super important. Now, of course, you can also hire a stager, and it's obvious that I would recommend doing that. So you can hire me. I do online one-on-one consultations. As a matter of fact, I just did one this weekend, and I'm going to talk to you about her. Her name is Diane, and she, just working with her this weekend, it's actually prompted me, also gave me a lot of ideas for today's live, because that's exactly what she's doing. She's not really 100% sure yet when she'll be selling, but she knows that it will be coming probably in 6 months to a year from now, and so she wants to get her house ready. So just me working with her and talking to her gave me a lot of very good pointers and tips on what other people might be interested in with as well. And Diane is located in Illinois. So you first you do your assessment, and you have your point A. You do your marketing research, your competitive research to compare your house with other houses. Be critical and objective. Remember that. You talk to a couple of realtors, and you get their opinions, and you make a list as well. And so from all of that, at this point, you should be able to create your point B, which means, where do you need to be? Like, what are the things that you should be doing to your house to get it ready for the market? Now, is this something that you guys are doing already? We're ready to continue. Do you have any questions? Just let me know in the chat if you have any specific questions that you want me to answer, and I'll make sure that I'll do that. So now you have your gap. And at this point, this is where the budget should be coming in, okay? Because at this point, you have your point A, you have your point B, you have a gap in between. How do you cover that gap in the most economical way? So if we go back to Candace's comment a few minutes ago, she said, I want to do it in the least expensive way. Of course you do. Everybody does. But you still need to know, realistically, what is it that you are going to be doing and how much money you're going to be investing. And especially if you have more time. So let's say if you can spread it over the next year, then your investment it's easier on your budget, right? So you don't have to outlay $3,000-4,000 in one shot. Maybe you can do it step by step, and that's going to make it easier for you as well. So I would highly recommend to do your budget, whether you attend my workshop on November 23rd for $27, which of course I highly recommend. You will get also the worksheet that you can use and an instructional video, so you can do it afterwards as well. So it's just a little video that takes you through the worksheet. And then once you've done that exercise, you're going to come up with a number, and you should be happy with that number, but also that number should be realistic. So if somebody tells me, oh, I'm only going to spend $200 in home staging, I kind of go, okay, that's going to be really, really, really hard. Not impossible, but hard. So for example, today, right after this live, I'm actually running to a client, and they're a young couple, and they're, usually people have too much stuff. Well, in their case, it's the opposite. They basically literally have nothing. That's the way they live. That's the way they just don't care about, how the house looks. But they are smart enough and savvy enough to realize that for the sale of their house, the house has to look appealing. It has to look, exciting, because their house is very blah, like totally blah. I'll post the pictures very soon, because today we're going to finish the staging. So I'll have the before and afters, and you'll see the difference. Like literally they have an exercise machine in their living room, one brown fake leather couch, and an area rug. That's it. So I kind of came down hard on them, and they went shopping. Hi, Mandy from South Africa. Nice to see you. Hope you're feeling better. So they actually, I sent them to IKEA. I made them a list, and they executed everything I've told them to buy. And I'm also bringing some stuff to them that I'm going to sell them from my own inventory, but they could have bought it. And we're going to complete the staging today. So in a few days, in a couple of days, look for the photos in here, and it's going to be incredible, hopefully, transformation from before and after on a very small budget, because they have an inexpensive house. They are starting from pretty much not much, and they really want to keep it, in an inexpensive range. So that's what I've been trying to work with them on. So it doesn't have to be a lot of expenses. But of course, if you have $1 million home, chances are that your investment is going to be proportional to $1 million home. If you have a $150,000 home, it's not going to be the same. So I always take into account, the type of house you have and your needs, and also the type of clientele who is going to come. Because people who come to buy and who can afford to buy $1 million home have completely different expectations than somebody who comes to buy a $150,000 home, right? So that we have to account for that. So I see a lot of people are coming on all of a sudden. So I'll say hello, type your name in the comments in the chat, and tell me if I'm on the right track, if what I'm talking about, it makes sense to you, okay? So please say yes, so I know that I'm on the right track here. Okay, so we're gonna not talk about too much about decluttering today, because I think I've talked about it and I talk about it, and I don't want to talk about it, but you do know that that is part of a necessary evil process of preparing your house for sale. So yes, you're gonna have to start decluttering, and that's something that you can start preparing your house for in advance. You can go slow. There is a friend of mine, Melinda, who is in this group. She's a professional organizer. If you want, we can sell you a decluttering workshop that she created for us. It's pretty amazing. and she teaches specific techniques on how to declutter your house with an easy process and make it, as easy and simple as possible. So you need to do that, so that you can start doing. You can start thinking about certain pieces of furniture, for example. So for example, some people tell me, oh, but I have, this massive furniture that came from my family, and I don't know what to do with it. So you have to decide. Those are the decisions that only you can make, on whether it's something that you're going to get rid of, or maybe give it to your kids or to someone else, or if it's something that's really of sentimental value and you want to keep, but maybe it's okay for you to keep it for now, but in your mind, you already know that it might not be appropriate for when the time comes to finalize the staging of your house. And then you're going to have to do something with this furniture, whether we put it in the garage, whether we move it already to your new place, whether you put it in storage and replace it with maybe rented furniture for a month or two. But you have to start thinking about those things and preparing in your mind. Okay, while you're doing the decluttering, the other big things that you need to tackle, it's pretty much what Candice was talking about, is I would start with a list, and usually that list will become apparent to you, either before, maybe it's already apparent to you now, but it's also going to be apparent to you once you do the budgeting workshop. And that is what are I call them the infrastructure or the structural things. Usually those are big things that you need to update, repair, or maybe replace. And exactly things like the roof. Unfortunately, now some people might not have the money, and that's the reality of life. Maybe a roof is going to cost $10,000 to replace. Maybe you don't have the money. But if you don't have the money, or you don't want to do it, as long as it's not leaking, then you should account for it in your final listing price, because obviously it's going to be declared. And so right away, the buyers are going to know that that's that additional expense for them. So I always recommend to keep the house in a tip-top shape, and whatever upgrades you can afford to do, and maybe you stretch it out over a year or 18 months, but you really should try to do them. So the roof, the windows, as Candice said, exterior vinyl, or maybe some exterior paint if you need to do that. And then one of the things that I was helping Diane with this weekend was she's doing like two major things in preparation for her sale. Is she decided to pull out the carpets and resand and stain and varnish her floors. And she has a ranch style house, she was explaining to me. So they are still living in the house. So that is a big undertaking. It's her husband and her, and so they're doing it in a kind of staggered approach. So they moved furniture out of some of their rooms, like a living room and dining room, and I think maybe a den. And then that area was closed off because it creates a lot of dust. And then they had all the carpets ripped up. There was nice hardwood floor underneath. It just needed to be stained and varnished. So that was done last week. I saw the result on the weekend. She showed me online. It looks spectacular because it's oak. It's oak floors, and they stained them like a medium brown color, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So right away, that is going to increase the value of her house tremendously. And then now she's going to bring the furniture back. And then there's a couple of other small bedrooms she was telling me that she also needs to do the same thing for. And so they're doing, it is annoying, honestly, and it does create a lot of dust. So, but it's not ideal, but she's able to do it because she is taking her time. She's not in a rush. There's only a couple of people, so it's inconvenient, but it's doable, and it's going to increase the value of her house a lot. So she's doing that. The other thing she's doing is she's repainting her house. And that, again, is something that everyone can do and everyone should do. And I keep repeating myself, but it is an excellent, excellent return on your investment. So even if it costs you a couple of $1,000s to do it, it's not something that you'll ever not recoup your money on. Now, I was helping Diane with choosing the color. She was quite like fretting about it. And honestly, you know, she still has a paint, she has what do they call those borders, and she has this stencil, and she has those you know, outdated paint techniques that were so fashionable 25 years ago. We were laughing, me and her, because the sponge technique, if you remember that, because I had it also in my own house. I actually did it myself in my daughter's room when she was a little, and to this day we still laugh about it because really it was not very attractive, and I did not succeed very nicely. So she decided to repaint the house, and I was helping her to choose the paint color. And at the end of the day, what I was telling her, so I taught her some techniques on how to, you know, not to get overwhelmed and make sure that the color that you pick is something that you're going to be happy with and you're going to like, because you're still going to live in the house for a little while. And B is neutral enough and warm enough and light enough to please anybody who is going to be looking to purchase your house in 6 months from now, or 10 months from now, or 12 months from now. So we're doing all that. Now, we had a question. We were talking, Diane and I were talking about whether she should be replacing the kitchen cabinets. And that is something that I get questions on all the time. And it's a hard question to answer, to be honest, because the real answer, it depends. It depends on your personal situation. It depends on what the rest of the house looks like. It depends on the value of your house. It depends on whether you have the money to do it. So there are certain things. I usually do not recommend spending $20,000, $30,000 on a kitchen and bathroom upgrades, especially if you're going to be selling within 6 to 12 months. Maybe if you're going to be selling in, let's say, 2 or 3 years, then, and you want to enjoy, you know, the fruits of your labor, then maybe it would be worth it doing it, because you're doing it also for yourself. But if you're only doing it with the mindset of selling your house soon, in most cases, you will not recoup the money for it. But there is a but. There are some things that you could be doing and thinking, and you can be clever about it. And what are the updates that you could be doing to the bathrooms and the kitchens? Sorry, just have a drink of water here. What could you be doing that would increase the value, but without going into a big expense? So for example, the kind of things that people do is a lot of people will paint their kitchen cabinets. Now, I can't tell you if it's a good idea or a bad idea, because again, it depends what are the kitchen cabinets that you have right now. How is the layout of your kitchen? Is the layout functional and perfect? And if you just painted the cabinets, everything else would, you know, look really good. Maybe not. So there's no point in spending money in painting kitchen cabinets, which are still going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 at least, if the layout is awful and if the kitchen is not functional. So, but it is something to consider, because some kitchen cabinets, especially if they're wood, you can paint. I would suggest it to be done by professionals, because the result is going to be much better. But it's something that you could consider, and it could cost you less than replacing the whole kitchen. Another option is to reface the cabinet doors. There are companies out there who actually specialize in that. It's not necessarily a very cheap solution, but it could be a solution. You could just replace the cabinet doors. One of my favorite places is IKEA for kitchens. I do. My husband and I flip homes, so we buy homes where we have them and we resell them. We're doing one right now. And 2 weeks ago, I bought a kitchen at IKEA for a ridiculously low price. Like it's not a huge kitchen, but it was under $4,000, including the sink and the faucet and the whole kitchen. So it's like, really, really, really feasible at this point. Another thing that you can look at is, should you add the backsplash? Now that is kind of a little tip and a trick that I have, and it's not expensive. It can be done by professionals, but there are also some glue on tiles, and there's some other ideas that you might even want to do it yourself if you're a little bit handy, and that would really change the look of your kitchen without going into a major expense. Could you be changing the countertops? And that's something that if you watch the video that I did with Erica a couple of weeks ago, well, she's lucky her husband is a carpenter, but they changed the countertops. So finally they went from this ugly blue melamine countertops that she's had forever, and they put just butcher block. So it was not very expensive, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And as if you haven't heard yet, she sold her house in 2 hours after it was listed. The first person who came in made her an offer $5,000 over asking price. And I will be posting about that separately this week, but I just wanted to let you know. So it's a crazy, crazy success, and I'm very happy for her. So you can do that. One thing that I often recommend for kitchens is changing the hardware. So just by changing your kitchen door handles, the cabinet handles, it can make a huge difference for a very, very small investment. Things like the faucet, again, you have to look, maybe you can buy a faucet for $150, and that's something that will really change the look of the kitchen. So there are things that you can be creative about. You just have to either do it yourself or get me to help you, but we have to decide what's really worth doing and at what amount of money. The same thing for the bathrooms. So for the bathrooms, you can look at what kind of facelift you could be doing. So could you just paint? Maybe you can repaint your bathtub. Maybe you can replace the vanity if everything else works well. And recently I had somebody who contacted me and she wanted my advice. She showed me some pictures, and basically I was not really in agreement with what she did, but she replaced the vanity, but her ceramic floor was pretty awful. Like, it was totally outdated. So to me, it was not really smart investment of what she did, because the new vanity did not, like, the first thing I was looking at was the ceramic floor, which was really not pretty. And can you replace the lighting in the bathroom? Usually people forget. A lot of times they forget how important the lighting is. But maybe that's just by replacing the lighting, that can make your bathroom look a lot better. Replacing the toilet, maybe you can redo the grout. So there is a lot of things. All I'm trying to say, without giving you specific advice today, is that you can look. Upgrades for the kitchen and the bathrooms are very important. But you cannot decide, to spend a lot of money without giving it a good thought and evaluating the big picture. That's what I'm trying to say. So sometimes it is a good idea to replace everything, and sometimes it's not. And we can just improve on the look of your house without necessarily going into the major expense. But those are all the kind of things that, if you have the time. Debbie is asking, should you upgrade your curtain rods? Absolutely, 100%. It's a very small expense. So that, yes, you need to do that. And your curtains also, but that's going to be when you're selling your house. So basically my conclusion, because now I see I've been talking for a lot longer than I thought I would be, I'm on a roll today, is you have to, it's never too soon to start. Like, maybe if you're 5 years out, then yes, it is too soon to start, unless there's certain things you need to be doing for yourself. But I would say any place within maybe 6 to 12 or 18 months, you can start preparing. And just to kind of summarize everything I said today, I really believe that you need to have a plan. And if you have a plan, which doesn't necessarily take a lot of time to make, but it will save you a lot of money at the end, and it will also prevent the possible overwhelm of not knowing what to do, how to start, what's important, what's not important, kind of going in all sorts of directions without really doing the things that are important. So I do encourage you to give it some thought. And if you want, you can watch this video again. It's going to be available here. It's going to be available in Unit 3. You can watch the replay. If you are watching the replay, please put a hashtag replay so I know you're watching. And if you want to, if you're interested in my home staging budget planner workshop coming up on November 23rd, let me know. And I'll put you on the list because I need promoting it and advertising it within the group. So that would be like a really, really, really good first step for you, so you know where you're going financially with your home staging project and your preparation. So this is what I wanted to talk about today. If you have any questions, post them now. And if not, that's going to be it for today. You can post the questions underneath if something comes to your mind and you haven't, not thinking about it now, but it comes to your mind. You can always post them, and I will, I answer everybody's questions. So I really thank you for your time, guys, this morning. I really appreciate you being here. I'm so happy to see you, and I'll be seeing you in the group this week. Have a good day. Bye, everybody.